Dan Ives of Wedbush writing, tech stocks have way oversold in June. They ultimately represent major buying opportunities as these bearish narratives have overshadowed the future massive growth prospects. Dan joins us now. And of course, when we're talking about tech, we're talking about hyperscalers in particular, which have been the huge losers until yesterday, where you actually saw a little bit of a turnaround. Why do you reject the notion that people are pushing back against the spending plans of some of these tech behemoths?
Look, the hyperscalers are $700 billion. I mean, that's what's funding the AI revolution. I mean, when you talk about memory chips to Nvidia to everything else, but that's just the first phase, because what the hyperscalers are doing is, this is the build out. It's Vegas Strip building in 1955. But ultimately, the monetization now is going to come. I mean, when you look at Meta, they're not just spending to spend. You look at Microsoft, they essentially own the enterprise. Alphabet, 5% of their customers have gone to the AI path. Same thing with Amazon. So my whole point is, you've had this tech rally, but Mag 7 right now, penalty box, essentially. I think it significantly outperformed second half of the year. And I think earnings season, as we see in July, I think it's going to be a huge validation moment for big tech.
So the Vegas Strip maybe is a decent analogy on the just actuality of it, not in the scale. I mean, we're talking JP Morgan expecting $5.5 trillion to spend on CapEx spend for AI heading out to 2030. We're talking about massive numbers that are accelerating, not decelerating. And capacity constrained companies, right? I mean, some of these companies have said, we can't give you all the compute you're looking for. So how do you see them monetizing without raising prices enough to really trickle into the cost of what everybody is spending on an everyday basis?
Yeah, well, first off, for every dollar spent on, let's say, an Nvidia chip, there's an $8 to $10 multiplier across the rest of tech. So that's extremely important in terms of what you see in terms of, you talk about some of the single stock moves, just the broadening out what we're seeing in terms of tech. And you could argue for names like Caterpillar and others. But when it comes to hyperscalers, look, it's an arms race. That's why the question is, like, can they actually cut CapEx? They can't. In other words, like, you're diving into the deep end of the pool. Because if they cut back, then they go behind others in line that will clearly go ahead of them. Anthropic, OpenAI, ultimately, as they go public, they'll just have more and more cash. And I think that's the reality right now. And to those, the bears will be like, oh, it's spending to nowhere. It's the opposite. I mean, you're essentially building out a new economy for consumers, enterprises, and for the first time in 30 years, the U.S. is ahead of China when it comes to tech.
Had a lot of the names across Nvidia, the Mag 7, and so forth. Do you have a strong point of view about the chip rally continuing?
I think it really is stock by stock with the chips. So, for example, if you look at Micron, even after the move, like so many other stocks, it's actually at a lower multiple right now than it was at the beginning of the year. Not only is it a lower multiple than it was, but estimates are still going up, and the multiple is under 9 times. So it's hard to argue with that. On the other hand, you have some other companies where estimates have gone up, but the stocks have gone up much more. So I do think it makes sense to be selective and to focus on those areas where you see the bottlenecks. So there's clearly bottlenecks in memory. The bottlenecks in GPUs are fading a little bit, but we do see bottlenecks in CPUs. And so it also makes sense to look at some of the CPU companies. And so it really is very much stock by stock. And again, we always go back to earnings, fundamentals, valuation. And as long as those are moving in the right direction, we're happy to still own them. But it's not just buy everything anymore.
Steve, do you think this is the most important part of the market? I mean, this will be the tell, kind of, up or down?
This is completely the tell. First of all, just from the weight of the Mag 7 or anything chip-related in the S&P 500, certainly the NASDAQ 100, depending on how you want to classify it, you're talking somewhere between 35 and 60%, depending on how you want to call it. And the momentum behind these stocks has been so tremendous, and the leverage that's been applied to some of these stocks that we see, not both in the U.S. and in Korea and Taiwan, it requires these stocks to continue going up. Otherwise, you got a problem.
But an interesting sidebar about that, we were talking yesterday to Steve Auth from Federated Hermes, and he said, one reassuring thing from a 30,000-foot point of view, the investors may not, but he said the leverage right now is not in the financial system, a la 2006, 2007. The leverage is with a lot of retail traders. He even singled out, look what's going on in Korea specifically, where, when that turns, it's going to be painful, but it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a painful bear market.
Well, it means you don't have a repeat of the global financial crisis because as he says, it's not throughout the banking system, but it doesn't mean you can't have a big stock pullback, particularly in the most vulnerable sectors. Those have a way of cascading. I don't want to harp on that too much, but it's a risk factor, and the more we go up without a real beat, a real break in this, then the more the risk magnifies.
Ellen, today one of the stocks, SanDisk, got a big upgrade. We spoke to the analyst last hour. He raised his price target to 3,000, which is another 50% upside from here. And he said they're locking in long-term price agreements. And he thinks for them and for Micron, those long-term price agreements make it not different this time, but to your point about cheap, that you can take that to the bank because you can count on those price contracts. Do you think that's right?
I do think that's right. If you listen to the Micron conference call, that when they talked about the long-term conference, this is unlike anything that we've seen in memory in recent years. And by recent, I mean the last 25 years. We haven't seen this kind of price guarantees going forward for so long. And I think it really speaks to the scarcity value and the bottlenecks. And this is true in DRAM, it's true in flash, right? It's true in a number of different areas in memory. And so I think that those will continue to work as long as you have constraints. Now, capitalism is a solution to its own problem, right? When you have a shortage, high prices lead to more coming in. So eventually, someday, there will be excess supply, but we're very far away from that right now. And I think that means you can continue to invest in a lot of the bottleneck names, particularly in memory.
From a supply-demand point of view, I'm going to talk, sort of more 30,000 feet. You own the right names, and that's great. And I think to a certain extent, a lot of people own those names. Is there still money around, to be put into them? Is there anyone in your mind who doesn't own Micron, who's yet to own it, or Nvidia, who doesn't already own it, that kind of thing? Or are you starting to look with fresh money outside these stocks that have run up and into other places?
I think it's really hard to gauge where there's fresh money out there that is lying in wait to be invested in semis. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm saying that I don't know how to look for that. Okay. So I think it's a little bit of a tricky game. I think if I were a Wall Street trading desk, I might have a much better sense.
On the final day of the quarter, AI chip giant Nvidia is showing signs of life after a difficult month in which its stock fell more than 11%. This is due to positive remarks made by an independent semiconductor research firm. At 12 o'clock New York time, shares are up 1.7%. Predicted that due to a cleared supply bottleneck and an accelerating ramp of its Vera Rubin platform, NVIDIA's data center computing revenue in the second half of fiscal year 2027 will be 20% higher than Wall Street consensus projections. As of right now, NVIDIA shares are up 1.74% intraday at $198.37, and the note seems to have been a major driver of the increase. We are seeing a huge second-half ramp for NVIDIA this year, the Post stated on June 30th on X. According to our accelerator model projection, NVIDIA DC compute revenue for the second half of FY 2027 is 20% greater than what is generally anticipated. After being forced out owing to earlier HBM4 problems that have since been fixed and front-end wafer supply has been increased, Rubin will have a significant ramp. Estimates are based on all the research from the supply chain, including but not limited to materials, fabrication, components, server integrators, and what's happening at hyperscalers and frontier labs, in contrast to other sell-side analysts who prefer to model an easy benchmark for companies to beat numbers. The resolution of an HBM4 memory supply restriction that had previously postponed major deployments of the Rubin platform is the central tenet of the optimistic thesis. With the front-end wafer inventory now pre-built and the bottleneck removed, a significant volume step-up is anticipated in the second half of the year. Digitimes supports this perspective, reporting on June 25 that supply chain vendors at monitors believe the Blackwell to Rubin product transfer would be finished in Q2 2026, paving the way for an increase in demand starting in Q3. According to Tech Times, NVIDIA's Vera Rubin platform went into full production on June 1, 2026, and production shipments to 8 cloud partners, AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, Oracle Cloud, CoreWeave, Lambda, Nebius, and Nscale, are planned for this autumn. Hyperscalers benefit from a significant increase in performance per token thanks to the platform's HBM4 memory, which provides roughly 22 TDP/s bandwidth per GPU, 3 times the HBM3E bandwidth found in the Blackwell iteration. NVIDIA did not provide a completely clear image. The company also pointed out that approximately 3 months after its announcement, NVIDIA's initial 4-chip Rubin Ultra configuration, which was first revealed at GTC 2026, was cancelled and replaced with a version that was half the original physical size and had a correspondingly lower performance. NVIDIA has not made any public remarks regarding the design modification, and it is yet unknown how the decrease will affect revenue in the long run in comparison to the original specification. If the forecast is correct, it would significantly improve the situation going into Q2 FY 2027 earnings, which are probably expected for August 26, 2026. Based on revenue of approximately $91.7 billion for that quarter, the consensus now projects an EPS of 2.07. However, the supply chain read indicates that this bar may be too conservative. The stock of Nvidia is experiencing a decline in the early summer. The conclusion? AlphaSpace data shows that Nvidia shares have now underperformed the S&P 500 for 6 consecutive trading days. Since September 2025, this is the longest period of relative underperformance. The second quarter concludes today, and the AI darling's performance has been inconsistent. On May 14th, Nvidia's closing price reached an all-time high of $235.47. But since then, the stock has significantly decreased by almost 23%. The primary cause of Nvidia's recent underperformance in comparison to the S&P 500 is an institutional sector migration away from high-flying AI hardware stocks and towards certain subsectors like memory chips. Additionally, Wall Street is becoming more and more irritated with big tech's enormous capital expenditures on artificial intelligence, which are expected to increase by 70% to over $700 billion this year. It makes natural that Nvidia has started to lag a little when you take into account worries about a Fed rate hike later this year, which would raise the cost of financing for AI projects. Regarding the decline in leading tech stocks, Wedbush tech analyst Dan Ives stated on opening bid that many of them are being viewed like bear market equities. The start of hyperscaler earnings season in a few weeks could be Nvidia's next big boost, as the company's ambitious plans for capital expenditures could spark fresh interest in the company. Until then, there might be more stock declines. In 2026, Nvidia was predicted to lead semiconductors higher. Rather, it has observed the remainder of the gang running off. The financials support CEO Jensen Huang's description of the current period as the build-out of AI factories, the largest infrastructure expansion in human history. In the first quarter of 2027, Nvidia's data center revenue increased by 92% to $75.246 billion. However, the stock has only increased by 6.2% so far this year. Can Nvidia's stock reach $300 by the end of 2026? Why semis rip and Nvidia shares are stuck. There is a clear difference. The VanEck Semiconductor ETF, SMH, has increased 127.69% over the past year and 75.49% YTD. Nvidia has decreased 11% in the last month and increased 29.2% over a year. Shares are hampered by 3 factors. First, data center compute revenue from China is specifically excluded from the Q2 projection of $91.0 billion plus 2%. Second, AI bubble jitters are amplified by a beta of 2.202. Investors are switching to less expensive memory, equipment, and optical brands. Third, this stock suffers the most when risk sentiment fluctuates since its beta of 2.202 amplifies every AI bubble oscillation. With 10 strong buy, 48 buy, 2 hold, and 1 sell rating, Wall Street is aiming for $301.62. With a 90% confidence level, our optimistic scenario is $259.31, while our base case is more precisely measured at $248.09. Although it ranks considerably below the street, our model gives Nvidia a favorable rating. This is the point at which we challenge our own conservatism. Even though Q1 net income increased 210.63% year over year, 95% of analysts are optimistic, and earnings growth contributed plus 0.03 to our 247 factor. The slack that can quickly close is the difference between the modeled contribution and actual earnings velocity. A gain of 51.0% is needed to reach $300 from the current price of $198.63. $300 indicates an ahead PE of 38x, with a forward EPS of $8.97. The bold aim requires approximately 3.6x more multiple expansion, as our base scenario of $248.09 already suggests 34x. It could be delivered by 5 catalysts. Forward estimates continue to rise. According to Yahoo Finance's estimate, fiscal 2028 EPS will be $12.76, up from $11 just 90 days ago, while fiscal 2027 EPS will increase to $8.97 from $8.30. Price flat, estimates rising. Quietly, forward multiples compress. Execution of Vera Rubin. Grace Blackwell with Nvidia Link has been dubbed the king of inference by Huang, and Vera Rubin, the company behind agentic AI and reasoning models, is following suit. Physical AI and robotics. According to the South China Morning Post, June 30, 2026, Nvidia is hiring for over a dozen positions in simulation, Project GR00T, and embodied intelligence in Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen. Sovereign AI, Palantir's new engine, which uses Nvidia Nematron models in air-gapped U.S. government installations, was revealed in Nvidia's blog on June 29, 2026. New CPUs and access to China. 2 reported swing factors for 2H are ARM-based CPU introductions and H200 licensing. The main worry is that any Vera Rubin drop or stricter export regulations from China would freeze the multiple in its current position. Nvidia's current trading position in relation to its earnings power. Nvidia is trading at over 25 times forward earnings at $198.63 compared to a forward EPS of $8.97. PE is pegged forward at 22 by Alpha Vantage. In any case, that is a reasonable multiple for a business with non-GAAP gross margins of 75.0% and revenue growth of 85.2% year over year. The stock has a 52-week range of $152.77 to $236.26 and a 10-year performance of plus 16,943.1%. If earnings continue to rise, the valuation case will right itself. 300 is a long way from $198.63, suggesting a 6-month gain of 51.0%. For it to succeed, ahead estimates must continue to rise. Vera Rubin must have a spotless ramp, and the China headwind must lessen. It would be derailed by a regulatory crackdown on exports of AI chips. The math is more doable than recent market activity indicates, with the street now at $301.62 and EPS trends going upward. The plan for Nvidia to reach $300 in 2026 is obviously doable, but returns at this level shouldn't be anticipated annually.